October 12, 2024. Montana Wilderness, Moose Creek Road near Big Sky. A woman arrives at a remote campsite to find her boyfriend's body inside his tent. The scene is horrific: massive wounds, blood everywhere, a vicious attack. She calls 911 screaming it was a bear. Wildlife experts arrive expecting a mauling. They find no bear tracks, no claw marks, no animal activity. The autopsy reveals the shocking truth: multiple chop wounds to the skull, stab wounds, blunt force trauma. This wasn't a bear. This was murder. And the killer was a stranger who showed up asking to share the campsite. Dustin Kjersem welcomed him, offered him a beer. That kindness would cost him his life. October 10, 2024. Dustin Kjersem, 35-year-old father of two and skilled contractor, drove into Montana's breathtaking wilderness for a camping weekend. He picked the perfect spot off Moose Creek Road: remote, beautiful, peaceful. Dustin was an experienced outdoorsman who loved nature. He set up an elaborate campsite with a wall tent, wood stove, comfortable beds, and lamps. Everything was perfectly organized. He planned to enjoy Thursday night alone, then pick up his girlfriend Friday to bring her to this paradise he'd created. Dustin texted friends showing off his setup. He was happy, excited, looking forward to a relaxing weekend. He had no idea someone was watching. Someone who wanted what Dustin had. Someone who would kill for it. That Thursday night, Daren Christopher Abbey, 41, arrived in the area looking for a place to camp. When he reached the spot where he planned to set up, Dustin Kjersem was already there. Most people would have found another location. Abbey didn't. He approached Dustin's campsite. According to Abbey's later confession, Dustin did something incredibly kind. He welcomed the complete stranger. He invited Abbey to share the campsite. He offered him a beer from his cooler. They sat together drinking. To Dustin, this was Montana hospitality, sharing the wilderness, being neighborly. To Abbey, this was opportunity. At some point during that evening, something changed. Abbey struck Dustin with a piece of solid wood. Then he grabbed a screwdriver and stabbed Dustin in the neck. Then he found an axe and struck him repeatedly. Dustin Kjersem never saw it coming. Daren Christopher Abbey attacked Dustin Kjersem with a block of wood, an axe, and a screwdriver. The violence was extreme and personal. An autopsy showed Kjersem sustained multiple chop wounds, including to his skull. This wasn't a quick kill. This was brutal, sustained violence. Abbey used whatever was available: a piece of firewood, a camping tool, Dustin's own axe. The injuries were so severe that when Dustin's girlfriend found him 2 days later, she immediately thought bear attack. That's how vicious the wounds appeared. But wildlife experts knew immediately something was wrong. Bears don't attack like that. Bears leave claw marks, tracks, signs of feeding. This crime scene had none of those indicators. This was human violence disguised by its own brutality. Someone had murdered Dustin Kjersem and tried to make it look like nature had killed him. After killing Dustin, Abbey didn't flee immediately. He spent time at the crime scene calculating what to take, what to hide. Abbey removed items from the campsite he believed had evidence that could tie him to the crime, including an axe used against Kjersem. Abbey took a number of items from the campsite, including an Estwing camp axe, a Remington shotgun, a Ruger Blackhawk revolver, and an orange YETI brand cooler. He also stole Dustin's cell phones. But Abbey made critical mistakes. He missed a beer can, the one Dustin had given him in friendship. And incredibly, Abbey later returned to the scene to remove other things. He came back to a murder scene to retrieve items he thought might incriminate him. That decision would help seal his fate. But first, investigators had to realize this wasn't a bear attack. October 12, 2024, Saturday morning. Dustin was supposed to pick up his girlfriend Friday evening. He never showed. She grew increasingly worried as hours passed with no contact. On Saturday morning, she and her friend drove to the campsite and found Dustin deceased in the tent. The scene was nightmarish. Blood everywhere. Dustin's body showing massive trauma. In her panic and shock, seeing those terrible wounds, she concluded it must have been a bear. She called 911 reporting a bear attack. Law enforcement arrived quickly along with wildlife experts from Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks. They examined the scene carefully, looking for bear sign. They found nothing. No tracks. No scat. No claw marks on trees. No feeding behavior. The bear expert was certain, no bear had been here. This was homicide. The investigation shifted immediately. Someone had murdered Dustin Kjersem in cold blood. Investigators processed the crime scene meticulously. They collected everything that might contain evidence: drinking glasses, utensils, personal items. Most importantly, they collected beer cans from inside the tent. Those cans were sent to the Montana State Crime Lab for DNA analysis. Using DNA from the can, the Montana State Crime Lab was able to find a match: Daren Christopher Abbey. The DNA profile actually matched two people: Daren Abbey and his twin brother Dustin Abbey. But Dustin Abbey was incarcerated at the time of the murder. That left Daren. Investigators learned Abbey had a criminal history including multiple DUI arrests at the felony level. He had ties to Big Sky. On October 26, Butte police detained Abbey on a probation violation. Once in custody, detectives confronted him with the DNA evidence. Abbey broke. He confessed to killing Dustin Kjersem. But his story was self-serving and inconsistent. He claimed self-defense. Investigators didn't believe him. In his confession, Abbey told a story that didn't match the physical evidence. He claimed Dustin had threatened him with a gun, that he'd acted in fear for his life and his dog. He said adrenaline and panic drove him to strike Dustin. But investigators saw through the lies. If this was self-defense, why did Abbey steal Dustin's guns, cooler, phones, and axe? Why did he return to the crime scene to retrieve more items? Why did he wash the murder weapons in the creek? Abbey also said he did not report the fight because he had a felony record, but acknowledged he took a cooler of beer and guns from the crime scene and then returned the next day to look for a beanie he believed he might have left there. His story kept changing. The truth was emerging: Abbey had wanted Dustin's campsite and possessions. He'd killed a generous man who'd welcomed a stranger. There was no self-defense. This was murder motivated by greed and opportunity. Abbey was charged with deliberate homicide and tampering with evidence. November 2024. Daren Christopher Abbey stood trial in Gallatin County. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence of premeditated murder. They showed the jury photos of Abbey posing with firearms stolen from Dustin after the killing. They detailed how Abbey had struck Dustin's head with wood, stabbed him with a screwdriver, and chopped him with an axe. They explained how Abbey returned to destroy evidence. The defense argued self-defense, claiming Dustin had pointed a gun at Abbey. But prosecutors highlighted the absurdity: if Dustin had threatened Abbey, how did Abbey manage to strike him with wood, stab him, and use an axe? The physical evidence contradicted every element of Abbey's story. Over 6 days, witnesses testified. Expert testimony demolished the defense narrative. Abbey chose not to testify. On November 10, 2024, what would have been Dustin's 37th birthday, the jury began deliberations at 11:30 a.m. By 2:30 p.m., they had reached a verdict. Daren Christopher Abbey was convicted by a Gallatin County jury of deliberate homicide in the killing of Dustin Kjersem. He was also convicted of 2 counts of tampering with evidence. The jury didn't believe his self-defense claim. The evidence was too clear. Abbey had murdered an innocent man who'd shown him kindness. The courtroom was packed with Dustin's family and friends. When the verdict was read, there were tears of relief but no celebration. Nothing could bring Dustin back. His 2 children would grow up without their father. His family would never get closure for such a senseless crime. Abbey faces up to life in prison on the homicide conviction. His sentencing is scheduled for December 30, 2025. Prosecutors chose not to seek the death penalty despite the brutality of the crime. Abbey's defense attorney said they were disappointed but respected the jury's decision. She said they would decide about appealing after sentencing. The question remained, why? What motivated this murder? To this day, the motive for the attack is still unknown. Abbey claimed self-defense, but investigators never believed him. Officials have said there were multiple chop wounds to Kjersem's body. That level of violence suggests rage, not fear. Some theories emerged. Abbey wanted the campsite for himself. He wanted Dustin's guns and belongings. Perhaps he resented Dustin's apparent success and happiness. Maybe something was said that triggered him. Abbey had a criminal history and felony DUIs. He had swastika tattoos. Was this a random act of violence from a disturbed individual? Or was there something more? Kjersem had 2 children and worked as a self-employed contractor, building homes and learning other trades. He was a skilled, kind man who loved the outdoors. He did nothing wrong except show kindness to a stranger. That generosity cost him everything. Abbey's true motive died with Dustin Kjersem, leaving only questions and grief. Dustin Kjersem was more than a victim. He was a beloved father, brother, friend, and skilled craftsman. His sister Jillian Price described him as a doting father who loved his 2 children deeply. As a self-employed contractor, Dustin built homes and constantly learned new trades. He was talented, hardworking, dedicated. Friends remembered his love for Montana's wilderness, his camping expertise, his generous spirit. The elaborate campsite he'd created that final weekend showed his skills and attention to detail. He'd built something beautiful in nature to share with his girlfriend. Dustin represented the best of Montana values: self-reliance, hospitality, respect for nature and others. His death shocked the community. Memorials were held. His family established ways to honor his memory. But nothing could fill the void. 2 children lost their father. A sister lost her brother. Friends lost someone irreplaceable. All because a stranger with a criminal past decided to take what wasn't his. Despite the horrific crime, investigators were praised for their thorough work. Within days of finding Dustin's body, they'd ruled out bear attack. Within weeks, they'd identified Abbey through DNA evidence. Sheriff Dan Springer commended his team's dedication. The Montana State Crime Lab's DNA analysis was crucial. Butte police cooperated in the arrest. The investigation showed how modern forensics can solve even remote wilderness crimes. That beer can, the symbol of Dustin's kindness in offering a drink, became the evidence that convicted his killer. Some called it poetic justice. Others noted the tragedy that such evidence was even necessary. The investigation also highlighted the importance of not accepting initial assumptions. The girlfriend and friend who found Dustin genuinely believed a bear had killed him. The wounds looked that severe. But wildlife experts knew to look deeper. Their expertise prevented this murder from being classified as an animal attack, ensuring justice could be pursued. The murder shook Montana's outdoor community. Campers wondered, how safe are we in the wilderness? Random murders at campsites are extremely rare, but this case proved they can happen. Dustin did everything right: experienced, careful, prepared. He couldn't have predicted a stranger would murder him. The case sparked discussions about campsite safety. Should people camp alone? Should they welcome strangers? Montana's tradition of wilderness hospitality was questioned. Outdoor organizations held safety seminars. Rangers advised campers about awareness and precautions. But ultimately, no precautions could have saved Dustin from a determined killer. The randomness was the most frightening aspect. This wasn't targeted. Dustin was simply in the wrong place when the wrong person arrived. November 10, 2024, Dustin's 37th birthday, became the day justice was served. The guilty verdict couldn't bring Dustin back, but it ensured Abbey would face consequences. Abbey faces life in prison with sentencing scheduled for December 30, 2025. He'll likely never be free again. The evidence-tampering convictions add additional time. Abbey's self-defense claims were thoroughly rejected. The jury saw through his lies. For Dustin's family, the verdict brought closure. They could tell Dustin's children that justice was done. The legal system worked. DNA evidence, thorough investigation, and a dedicated jury combined to ensure truth emerged. In a remote wilderness where no one witnessed the crime, science and dedication still found justice. This was a heinous crime committed by someone with no regard for Dustin Kjersem's life. The case teaches a sobering lesson: kindness doesn't guarantee safety. Dustin welcomed a stranger, shared what he had, offered friendship. That generosity should have been returned, not exploited. Abbey's crime represents the worst of humanity meeting the best. But Dustin's legacy isn't the violence that ended his life, it's the life he lived, the homes he built, the children he raised, the kindness he showed. His family asks that people remember Dustin for who he was, not how he died. Montana remains a place of beauty and community. One evil act doesn't define it. If you want more true crime stories, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.